they ask you that question, what would you like to be when you grow up? And I always answered a mom. That was the only thing I ever wanted to be, but here I am turning 40 and it hasn't happened.
With her 40th birthday fast approaching in October of 2008, she had finally given up on the idea of having a family.
It was something that I had to let go of and not think that I'm a failure because I didn't have a child.
One thing Lisa did have was a new boyfriend.
I got you something.
What's this?
Happy birthday.
Jason and I met working at a restaurant. We were both waiters.
Lisa was looking for a roommate, and so we thought it would behoove both of us to go ahead and live together. Ended up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend fairly quickly.
I'm 9 years older than Jason, and he likes to tease me about robbing the cradle.
And who is this for?
Jason and I weren't using any birth control.
I did want kids eventually.
It was kind of nice to know that he wanted a child and still thought that I could have one, but I was thinking, you know, not gonna happen. And they tell you how hard it is to get pregnant after 37. So I was in that accepting phase that I'm just not gonna have a baby.
Instead of focusing on having children, Lisa put all her energy into a new career.
I got a job teaching. I love interacting with the kids, but it's a lot of work, doing lesson plans, grading papers. I was busy. It was a lot of stress. Well, whenever I'm stressed, my tendency is to eat junk food because it makes me feel better. And of course, when I'm stressed, I'll smoke more because that's when you want it the most.
The 40-year-old put on a few extra pounds.
I've always had issues, you know, weight going up and down, and when I gain weight, it goes right to my stomach first.
And by late November, Lisa realized she had missed a couple of periods.
When it happened 2 months in a row, I decided, okay, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test. And then, of course, it comes back negative. And I'm like, oh, great, premenopause. Yay. You know, I wasn't really ready to enter menopause. That would just make me seem even older than I already am.
But a few months later, Lisa finally got a pleasant surprise.
It was about a week before Valentine's Day, and Jason came home from work, and he says, I want to marry you. Will you marry me? And I said, what?
I'd been thinking about asking Lisa to marry me for a long time, and I came home and finally just popped and asked the question. I was like, Lisa, will you marry me?
And I said, of course I will. And we were actually planning to do it in March because of spring break. It was a perfect time to do it.
But her excitement is hampered by the realization that it's been more than 6 months since her last period.
I took another pregnancy test, and this one came up inconclusive. So I took another one, and it came up negative. So I was like, aha, see, that confirms it. I'm not pregnant. I haven't had a single pregnancy symptom that you hear about. I was never nauseous. My boobs never grew.
It's about time.
In March, Lisa and Jason go to her parents' house for dinner.
And my mom looked over at me, and she was like, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? You know, she mouthed the words.
Mom? I just thought it was a poochy stomach from eating too much. I thought she was gaining too much weight. That's what I really thought.
Anyone want dessert?
Creme brulee? Did you make creme brulee?
No, it's not creme brulee.
I couldn't imagine that she could ever be pregnant and not say anything to me.
Just 3 days before their wedding, the bride-to-be had a restless night.
Jason and I were getting married Friday, and I'm just trying to relax and just could not get comfortable. Since I didn't want to keep him up all night, I laid down on the couch.
At 4 a.m., Lisa woke up to a disturbing sight.
I feel something warm and hot between my legs, and it's blood. When I went into the bathroom and I actually saw how much blood it was, I was like, that's a lot. That's not normal. I came out and I got on the internet and I looked up excessive vaginal bleeding. And the result was a miscarriage. And at that point, I'm like, we have to go now.
Jason.
When I arrived at the hospital, I couldn't stand up straight. So I hobbled over to the check-in desk and tell the nurse there that I was bleeding and that according to the internet,
They say it's a miscarriage, but
it can't be a miscarriage because I'm not pregnant.
What do we got going on here?
No! hurts. It hurts when you do that. Ah!
Been bleeding a lot.
Phone monitor right away.
I asked what that was, and they said, that's a fetal monitor.
Fetal monitor.
And I started to say, but I'm not pregnant, when the nurse was like,
There it is. It's very faint.
there, what is? And they said, the heartbeat. And I said, mine? And they said, no, the baby's. What?
You're having a baby.
And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? And they're like, no, there it is.
You wake up at 5 in the morning and you're told you're going to be a father, and you went to bed not thinking you were going to be a father. That's quite a shock.
They had to look at the picture on the monitor to see how far along the baby was. They were guessing 28 weeks, 30 weeks.
But that's not all the doctors saw.
From the bleeding, they knew pretty much right away that my placenta had abrupted.
Placental abruption is the premature separation of the placenta from the uterus. This is dangerous because it can drastically cut off the blood supply to the baby, and the baby could die.
What's our rate here?
It's below 95.
Below 95?
They were really concerned because his heart rate was so low. And I was bleeding so much. And the doctor was like, we have to go. We have to stop this.
Lisa and the baby's only chance was an emergency C-section.
I heard the heartbeat for a second, and then she's gone.
5, 4, she's out.
The tiny baby boy weighed just 4 pounds 4 ounces. At just 32 weeks gestation, he was struggling to breathe and was rushed to the neonatal intensive care unit.
Follow me. I'll take you to see Lisa.
When the nurse was bringing me down to the room, she says, it was very serious.
It was an emergency C-section.
And I was, what? I thought, this has got to be some kind of a dream. Very realistic, but it's got to be a dream. The first time I saw Lisa, she was really groggy. So I said, you just had a baby. And she said, a baby? I had a baby? And I said, yes. She says, I'm too old. I can't have a baby.
I saw the baby a couple hours after I woke up in recovery. It was overwhelming. I mean, he's so tiny.
He had a tube in his nose, he had a tube down his throat.
8-week premature baby Josh would have to stay in the NICU until his lungs were fully developed.